Welcome to the Backpage Lead podcast / Vidcast, which is also available on the YouTube channel. Wayne, Carey, good morning.
How are you, Charlie?
Nice
jumper.
Thank you, mate. This is the Melbourne Storm. I'm going out in sympathy with the Storm. You went to the footy on the weekend?
Yeah.
The first game, the Friday night game.
Yep.
What did you make of that?
I think like everyone, most people predicted Geelong to win well, and they did exactly that. I thought they got off to a flying start. 8 goals in the first quarter. They looked impressive, and I think a few Collingwood people would be very nervous because Geelong got that hardness back. I thought their pressure and the way they ran the ball was great.
What was Freo doing playing Aaron Sandilands? He couldn't run or jump.
Well, look, it's a do or die final. I mean, you know, obviously they took a risk. It didn't work. So I think Headland was the other one that went into the game. I think he'd only been back for about 3 weeks or something like that. So they took a risk with those two players. If they'd been fit, would have they made the difference? No. I mean, let's be honest, Geelong were just far too good. The
fact Freo didn't play a game all season at the MCG, and some of the young players were playing their first time there, cannot have helped.
Well, it's a bugbear, I think, for a lot of sides. Yeah. Kangaroos and other sides included in Melbourne that don't play enough games at the G, and that's one of the real advantages that Collingwood has. They play so many games there. They know the ground very, very well, and it would have been a disadvantage, no doubt.
And the Doggies defied most people's expectations and most pundits' tips, apart from mine, of course, when they beat Sydney on Saturday night. Was there much to be read into that result? I mean, are they back in town, or was it just a slogging?
I think the bookies had it about right. I think they were both fairly level going into the game. I honestly thought Sydney would win that game, purely on the back of Geelong limping into the Bulldogs limping into the finals. So they showed some spirit, which I think I know Rodney Eade and the boys down there would be very happy with that. Unfortunately, they come up against a very good side in St Kilda this week. I think it'll be tough, especially considering they've got so many injuries.
Well, let's talk about the two preliminary finals, which shape as really good games. Certainly the Friday night game between Collingwood and Geelong shapes as a beauty, which will get 90,000, you would imagine.
Yep.
It couldn't all come crashing down for Collingwood, could it? After so much expectation, and Eddie's getting the big screen organised for the grand final weekend.
Look, it really is going to be a ripping game. I mean, most people were predicting this would be the grand final. I think when Geelong got beaten last week by St Kilda, I think a lot of Collingwood people would have been nervous. I mean, let's be honest. I still think they're the best when they're hard and they're up and going. They're still the best side in the competition. I actually think that Geelong will win. I do. I think that it'll be a Geelong St Kilda grand final. I think the Saints will be too good for the Bulldogs. But look, it's a huge game. Look, it wouldn't surprise. I mean, Collingwood have been super all year. I just think the Cats after the weekend, I think they might be hard to beat.
Suddenly the pressure's on Collingwood, isn't it? They have had a fantastic season. They will go into this game as favourites. Geelong, stung by that loss to St Kilda, as you say, played well on the weekend, just might be building a bit of quiet momentum. Really, they're an outsider. The pressure's not on them.
Well, look, they're a super. They shouldn't be the outsider, but because Collingwood have been so good, finished on top of the ladder. They've had the week's break. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'll find out on Friday night. The start's going to be very, very important. I mean, Collingwood are just a workman-like side. They do everything well. Geelong just has that ability to kick goals quickly. I keep going back to the game where the last game they played, and Collingwood won that game by 22 points, had a lot more scoring shots, but Geelong still could have been 3 goals up if that Burns goal was allowed. So they didn't play well at all, but was always in the game.
Yeah.
That tells me they still had a lot up their sleeve from that particular game, and I think they'll improve on that. Hence, that's why I think they might upset the Pies.
I don't know if you've seen the Herald Sun today, but it ran an interesting feature about how to stop Dane Swan, and the general consensus was that he was almost impossible to stop. Dennis Pagan, your old coach, thought it was time to maybe run 8 midfielders or 8 players with their 8 midfielders, and just have one assigned to one player and go off the ground with them and come back on with them and just play that might be the best way to shut them down. I don't know. How would you do
Oh,
it?
look, he's just in super form. His work rate is as good as anyone's in the competition. So whenever you've got that sort of work rate, I mean, players just generally can't keep up with him. And Collingwood have got Dane Swan down pat. The way they bring him on and off, they do it probably better than anyone. They've been doing that for a number of years now, whereas other sides are only, with the GPS and all that sort of stuff. So they're far more advanced than what other sides are doing it. And Dane Swan, most bench player, but most possessions as well. I mean, he's had a super year, and he'll be hard to stop. I think last time they played, Gary Ablett started on him. And Gary Ablett actually started quite well in the last game. They both got a little bit of the ball, so I'd love to see that happen again. Actually, I think that'd be fantastic to watch.
Wayne Carey picks Geelong then. Just quickly, in a sentence, why do you think they will get over the line?
I just think their ability to score goals quickly. Big Cam Mooney, not in great form. You'd expect him to be better, but I don't know. I just think they've got too many options.
Yeah.
Their overall scoring ability, I think, is better than Collingwood's. Collingwood really need to have Big Trav to have a big game. He's got to stand up. You'd expect Scarlett to play a lot better than what he did, and Taylor to play a lot better than when last time they played Collingwood. I thought both of those guys were beaten.
Yeah.
You'd expect them to be better, and I think because of Scarlett, I think that's why the Cats will win.
But you see Trav Cloke as almost their most important player, don't you?
I do. I think if he marks the ball, even if he's missing the goals, and we know he's missed a couple of easy ones, but even if he's getting his hands on the ball and taking marks inside 50, Collingwood look very good. So I do. I think he's the most important player.
There you go. Okay, the second game, Bulldogs play St Kilda on Saturday night. We've talked about the Bullies a little bit. Their preparation this week is going to be overshadowed to some extent by the impending release of Jason Ackermanis' book. There was an excerpt or two, well, not an excerpt, but a few quotes released in The Age today by Caroline Wilson. He apparently gives a few of his teammates a spray, including Bob Murphy and Daniel during Syracuse. Do you think, and that will probably dominate the headlines on Saturday, do you think that is any distraction to the Dogs or not?
Oh, look, I don't think so. I think, obviously those players concerned will be disappointed if he's been derogatory towards them, but I don't think it'll affect the Doggies overall, or the way they go about playing. I don't know, but look, it's Acker's been controversial again, and I'll wait to read it to make my judgment.
The release is no coincidence, though. The timing of the release, it's done for maximum publicity, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Look, I don't know how many Bulldog supporters will buy it, or maybe a lot will, just to see what Acker has to say. But look, it's disappointing when ex-players,
Yeah.
and let's be honest, there's a few sour grapes, it's just disappointing, I think.
How do you see the game panning out? Obviously, they can't spot St Kilda a 5-goal lead and hope to win. No, and look, Nick Riewoldt was just super. He was sensational a couple of weeks ago. So, who have they got to stop him? I think he's almost unstoppable. Big Cozzy marking the ball again. I thought he was brilliant in the first quarter against Geelong on Scarlett. First half, he was very good until the rain came down. So while those guys are marking the ball, St Kilda are hard to beat, and I think they'll be too good for the Dogs. Again, no expectations on the Doggies though. No pressure. They'll go in free of any of that burden.
Yes, absolutely. But I just don't think they'll be good enough to beat the Saints. I think the Saints are a professional outfit, and they'll go into their second grand final.
And have you got a sort of early tip to that, or you just need to work out who's available and who's fit?
Yeah, I think I'll reserve my judgment for the grand final winner until we find out.
We look forward to that. We also look forward to your Brownlow preview later in the week, and your thoughts as someone who's been pre-count favourite 2 or 3 times. Your thoughts on the big night, the Nighto Nights, the Gala Nighto Nights. Thanks, Wayne Carey.
No, thanks, Charlie.